same day and date. And so, and whether it hurts us, I don't really know, I mean, because I think, most of the comics that you sell, Dave, are available online.
Right.
But you're like a curated place that people can go, that's trusted, where you can give advice and input, and you've chosen these comic books because they're good and they're, representative of what you care about. And we're like that too, we're these brick and mortar physical manifestations and sort of places where the community can come together to
You're supposed to
appreciate
see
this
a
stuff.
movie in a theater. You're
Right.
supposed to see a movie in a
It's
theater.
an
That's the way it
experience.
works.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful experience.
I
With
think
an
it's-
audience and with,
Yeah.
that's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, I think it's a much better experience too, but I also think I mean, if you want to follow what we're playing and watch it elsewhere, if you have preferred ways, other ways to watch it, I'm just as happy if you see a movie like Girlhood that we're opening tomorrow on any format, because I would rather you come down and see it at Film Streams, and obviously it'll be the best experience there, but I mean, it's such a special movie, and if we can introduce that to people, then that's what I care about.
So, all right, so before I move on, is there any questions in the audience that you're not throwing up on Twitter? You want to put your hand in the air? I'd love to take them. See none. No one waving or jumping up and down. Okay, so we've moved all over the place thus far in the conversation, which I anticipated. I want to kind of focus on a couple different things here, and I'm going to try and move in a couple different directions. First, okay, we're going to talk about wrestling, and here's why. And Ryan's like shaking his head, I don't understand. So on Tuesday at the end of class, one of you all came up and said, what about wrestling? Should we talk about wrestling? I was like, oddly enough, one of the guys in the panel might dig wrestling. And so what I figured was that I would open it up and talk about wrestling as fan culture, and this idea of professional wrestling and kind of the implications around it. Because it was like, I don't know if any of you remember AWA, or remember like way back in the day with like when the Sheik first came out and the Claw, and like that was my wrestling. And so like,
Remember Captain Lou?
right,
Right.
Captain Lou was
Mike
one of them.
had his name
Hogan's
Captain
Rockin'
Lou
Wrestling.
Albano.
Yeah.
And Rachel's cat named Captain Lou Albano. That says something. So it was like primetime wrestling was this weird thing, and no one really talked about it when it was on, but yet it had this massive commercial success, and then it died.
Yep.
And then WWF came up, and it started doing, and there's this weird history, and then it sort of started dying, and then they all merged, and it's now what it is now. So I'm gonna start with you, Charlie,
Okay.
and then talk us through it.
About that was a lot of different things. Fandom.
Wrestling and fan culture. How's that
Okay.
sound? We'll focus on that.
So the weird thing that I've noticed, so for a little bit of background and kind of where I fit along the wrestling timeline is when I was in junior high, a friend of mine recommended that I turn and watch WWF, Monday Night Raw, and so I watched it. So I think I only really watched WWF, and I never watched WCW. I watched a little bit of ECW, and for about 4 or 5 years. And this is kind of at the height of what's the Attitude Era, which is when you had The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mankind, and like they were hosting SNL.
Yeah.
Like they had this huge cultural momentum, and then the bottom fell out, and then it kind of went away, and then now it's slowly coming back, but not nearly as much as it used to. And I think right now we're wrestling, and I got brought back into wrestling because of small independent wrestlers that people knew about from YouTube videos that people were posting online, that the fan base, the internet fan base around them was so strong that WWE took notice and started signing them. So recently, within the last 2 years, WWE has been signing some of the best professional wrestling, however you want to couch that in terms of sports entertainment, some of the best athletes and entertainers that they can get. And they're putting them all in what's known as NXT, which is this it's like minor league WWE. And what's interesting and kind of going back to fan culture is that has the strongest fan following of anything that I've seen outside of like Japanese professional wrestling. But it's limited in terms of location. It's always shot at the same location. Then it's only available on the WWE network, and people love it. And this group is known as the Smarks,
Okay.
the Smart Marks. So if you mark out for something, you get really excited. And if you are a Smark, you're someone who knows that wrestling is fake, you know it's all planned, but you still enjoy good production value and good wrestling. And so they get excited for people now like Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and these people that are like not really, like they're not John Cena.
Okay.
And because John Cena is just apparently the only thing that the WWE knows what to
Did
do
you
with.
just suggest that there's a group of people who don't know that wrestling is fake?
Oh yeah, kids.
That's still an kids, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kids
But-
also have put
but-
on capes and jumped off a roof.
Yeah, I mean,
But that's
Comic books
who
aren't real, everybody.
the main
Watch 'em
WWE
out.
is catering to now, which is fair because makes sense that you're catering to 6 to 13-year-old kids, which is why you have John Cena. But there are still adults that want to watch wrestling and they know it's fake, but they expect a different type of product.
See, that's weird to me because I often have to fight back against the idea that like comic books are for children. Like that's what people think. Like they're for kids. They are not. Like they are 90% of comic book material is absolutely not for children.
Yeah.
So I would have thought that wrestling, I've always considered to be for adults. I know that kids like it, but
Well, I
like
think-
Knight Rider was a children's program technically.
I think in terms of the storylines that they work through currently and the wrestlers that they are putting a lot of stock in,
Okay.
follow a very it's the difference between the Attitude Era where Stone Cold Steve Austin would slam 2 beers together and chug them in the middle of the ring versus someone that's supposed to talk about hustle, loyalty, and respect and fighting the good fight, and it's very PG. So there's not a lot of risk and there's not a lot of
Well, fair.
so I think
don't want to be
that's
the movie The Wrestler. That just
Yeah,
that's
that's
just
sad.
depressing.
yeah,
It's like,
oh
it's
yeah.
just sad.
So I think that's where the difference kind of lies. And there's I think people fans definitely now feel like they have a role in crafting what the storyline is, kind of to your point with the cover of DC, where they feel entitled that if they view that Daniel Bryan should be the main eventing WrestleMania, then he should be main eventing WrestleMania rather than this other guy who won. And even though you knew what was going to happen, you still felt cheated because as a fan, you have an investment in a particular character over another one.
So I'm curious, who here watches professional wrestling? Like okay, we got 1, 2, 3. I've got a few hands up. Okay, one more. Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you, that's still more than I thought.
Okay, so question for you all then. Why do you watch, speaking of fan cultures, briefly, why do you all watch professional wrestling? I saw a couple hands pop up.
Back in the day.
Back in the day?
Yeah, not no more.
Not no more back in the day, that was your thing.
Yeah.
All right? Why do you watch it?
Well, I'm the one that talked to you after class
Yep.
on Tuesday. I watch it because I understand that it's a soap opera with guys in tights throwing each other doing fake wrestling moves. But I watch it because I want to follow the storyline. I have they build characters within the show that you start kind of gravitating towards and everything like that. And and I tell people I like wrestling, they always come up to me and say, it's fake, right? I'm like, yes, I understand it's fake, but that's not why I'm into it. I'm into it for the storyline. I'm into it because I really enjoy the characters that they build. And I've gotten really into independent wrestling as well. And NXT, I think wrestling's gonna be an all-time high because of NXT, because the fans really have more of an impact. Like, somebody won recently on a big pay-per-view, and fans booed it to hell. And it completely changed the landscape of where the company was going. So it's almost like a modern day melodrama, in my opinion, because you have like people that you cheer for and people that you boo. So
Okay.
There you go.
All right. One other. Yeah, go for it. Why do you watch it?
I watched it with my friends. It's just kind of like something to talk about. I appreciate it more for like the technical aspect of it, I guess, the like, art of wrestling, rather than like the storyline.
Okay.
I just think that's cool.
So I want to point something out here. The fact that no one said because they kicked the crap out of each other. No one said, they said because there's a technicality to what they're doing to not actually hurt each other that bad. Because let's face it, you get slammed into something that many times, you're going to get hurt, right? And then we're also talking about storyline and narrative and all things we've talked about when we talk about genres of television and genres of music and things of that nature. The exact same rules play out here. I want to shift to comics and legend because a few questions have popped up. First, and I'll kind of couch them on one thing, or the first couple. The first one is, how do you feel about the fact you got that #1 bid? And then, Okay, so you got it. How do you stay ahead of everyone else, not just in Omaha, but now, I mean, because now the target's on your back. So talk about those.
Well, it was a thrill to win. We did not expect it. So we were nominated the year before, and we made it to the finals, and we didn't win. And I kind of was like, this is the stores that get nominated are amazing. Like we get to see the videos and the write-ups of all the stores. Like, well, clearly, you never think that you're the belle of the ball type of thing. You're like everything is always better than what you've done. So when we did win, it was a huge thrill. I still don't believe it. My business partner Jason has this saying. I don't know if it's his. I don't think so. But the idea is that you can buy a hamburger anywhere. That's what he always says. You buy a hamburger anywhere. So why would people want to buy a hamburger from us? Because comic books, it's not like we have exclusive rights to Spider-Man. Like Netflix has exclusive rights to like a TV show, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. So they get the entire audience for watching that show. Every comic book store in America has the ability to sell Spider-Man. So what we have to do is constantly try to keep the freshness, be able to talk about. I read so many comic books just to be able to stay current, to be able to answer any questions. Every one of my staff, it's basically like you can read comics on the job. It says, it's essentially just doing research. When we opened the coffee shop, at the time, there were only maybe 4 or 5 comic book stores in the world that had a coffee shop with them. We were an anomaly. We got write-ups in all these like comic book media sites about these comics and coffee. What? And I was like, well, bookstores and coffee go together. I don't know why comic books can't. They are books. Like that's the deal. And so really, it's basically we just have to constantly maintain this standard that we set for ourselves, and that is to be this fun place that people can come to all the time and enjoy the stuff. Because you can go to a comic book store and be treated crappy, and then you don't want to go. Usually it means people don't read comic books again. They just are soured by it. So anytime I hear about a store mistreating somebody or being rude, I get mad. It really upsets me, because if they had gone to them, if they hadn't come to me to be like re-indoctrinated, they maybe would never read comic books again, and then we've lost one more person, one more dad to hand comic books down to his kid and watch Justice League Unlimited on Saturday mornings, that sort of thing.
Okay. So. Awesome. And then question came up, and I'm going to direct this towards you, but if anyone wants to jump in. How do you feel about the growth of fan culture conventions like PAX and Comic-Con? Comic-Con sold out in 18 minutes this year, and new conventions being created like Minecon and things like that. So,
if I worry, Omaha has attempted to have several comic book conventions, which you think would be a no-brainer. We have per capita, we're like a town of 500,000 people, and we have like 8 comic book shops and a number of game shops. The nerd culture in this town is unprecedented. When I lived in LA, there were like 3 comic shops in LA. And so we had more in 2000 than Los Angeles did. But Omaha has not been able to really have a successful Comic-Con, despite that. And so I worry that when you try to do a convention and it's mismanaged or it fails, or people just have an odd idea of how to run a convention, because it's a professional endeavor. You have to get guests, you have to do all these things. If people leave unhappy, it sours it poisons the well, and it lessens the market where that convention was. That being said, conventions that are done well, like PAX, a rising tide floats all boats. They create new careers of people. Their games are released. We were talking about Exploding Kittens. Like that's like the thing that PAX can do. They can just sort of.
It's a card game.
I'm looking that up now.
Right, it's no
Yes,
animal cruelty.
please look up Exploding Kittens.
They can just the people at PAX can just wave their wand and make something a success, and I think that's great. And then they also do the whole Child's Play, where they get game systems to kids in hospitals, which is the other important bit about being like a place like film streams, this and that, is doing something positive for the community that like Netflix can't do. Like watching a movie at home on Netflix is nice, it's helpful to you, but what does it do for the culture as a whole? Like we do this thing where we try to raise money for Make-A-Wish Nebraska every year, and we are approaching $30,000 that we've raised, and I'm always happy to donate money towards like local high schools or anyone that I get yelled at by my business partners, because it's pretty much if somebody comes in and it needs like some sort of charitable thing, like a donation for a raffle or something, I will probably do it. And so it's very important to also be a good custodian of the community that we're in.
So, Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think conventions on the whole, to Dave's point, if they're run well, are just great sites for people to meet other people, for a culture that gets, and for a time in American culture where people are critiqued for spending so much time behind a computer screen or with a phone in their face. Going to events like this allow you to meet people face to face, to hear stories, to engage in fun, and meeting a lot of people that you wouldn't meet otherwise. I mean, I've gone to NebraskaCon the last 5 or 6 years, I think, and that's always a good time. It's the only convention that I go to, but I always have a good time going. But this would also apply to something like Omaha Beer Week or Extreme Beer Fest, where you're getting people that have a very niche kind of passion, and then getting them all in one room, and it is, I think, the ideas that are exchanged there and the friendships that are made pay for the con 5-10 times over.
So I'm going to move to film, and then we are going to move to the Disney question, and to kind of wrap things up. So a question came up: where can, and they said B-rated, but I might actually call them more cult films. Now that the Dundee, if it ever opens again, who knows what's going to happen?
It's not gonna.
I'm kind of feeling. Where can people see things like Rocky Horror? Where can they have experiences like Lebowski Fest and things like that? Where can people that want those type of film experiences have them now in town? Because it seems like they're not around much anymore.
Well, you know, Draft House is opening in 8th Screen in over by
Pavilion,
in
yeah.
Pavilion. Yeah. So
That will be the answer. Yes.
that will be where that
That'll be where it happens?
going on. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Starting in like July. Yeah, they'll do like the culty classics, and they'll have, you know, a lot of. They're known for like booze and food, and it's kind of more of a party atmosphere for movies. So.
Will we be allowed to dress up for Rocky Horror? That's always the question.
Probably be
Of
encouraged.
course. Absolutely not.
Who here has
Yeah,
ever
we
seen-
had a Big Lebowski costume contest.
You did
We
have
showed
one, this
it.
is true.
Yeah.
Who here has seen Rocky Horror? Who went in costume to Rocky Horror? I appreciate those of you that did that. Well done. But a lot of you have seen Rocky Horror Picture Show. Is it a good movie?
It's like crybaby. It's so bad it's good.
It's so bad it's good. And Crybaby, that's a nice move. I like that.
You
So,
should ask how many people have seen The Room.
who's here has seen The Room?
Really? Oh, I figured it would have been more.
Okay. Troll 2.
I didn't even theater up after the Rock.
How was that for you?